Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie and today we are back with another dun mukbang. Woo! Today we're doing a full Japanese inspired feast. Listen, I don't want to hear it because do you know how hard it is? Do you know how hot it is in Atlanta right now? And can you imagine going to an ice cream shop, ordering an ice cream cone, getting in the car, and holding it in one hand while you drive in the other hand, the 2 minutes back home, and it melts? Do you know what that feeling is like? Okay, there's a Korean restaurant right now in Korea that we did not go to, but basically, they serve ramen ice cream. And they said it's
ice cream ramen.
Yeah, ice cream ramen, and they say it's absolutely delicious. For some reason, the creamy... Wait, you gotta take off the joy paper.
I know, I just want to show them how ironic this ice cream is.
Ironic.
And I'm just going to
Plop it in.
plop it in.
So we've got ice cream ramen. This is another failed dish. I don't want to talk about it, okay? But it's cured egg yolks. It's like ramen cured egg yolks on top of a thing of rice.
Oh,
It looks delicious.
that looks kind of freaking cool.
Looks kind of like cheese. And then we've got a bunch of different Japanese sides. But before we get started, you know how everyone is like, oh my God, I just want a partner who's protective and wants to love me and support me and protect me. You know that? Yeah, well, no matter what happens, they're gonna be there for you. But you know what? Partners like that are nearly impossible to find. But you can at least find that protective phone case for your phone. This is the partner that's never gonna let you down. So with Casetify bounce cases, this is Casetify's most protective phone case ever. It's got these expanded corners that allow your phone to simply bounce when you drop it. It has been drop test approved up to 21.3 feet with the new EcoShock impact absorption tech, which, side note, my parents were always so shocked at how protective these cases are. Literally, I had to drop my phone in front of them at least 1,000 times for them to finally understand that they can drop their phone and not suffer a mini heart attack. It's gonna be fine. They thought it was just marketing, and I'm like, listen, mother, it's real. Just drop your phone. It's genuinely the only phone case that I would trust with my phone. I think the reason that they were skeptical, my parents were skeptical, is because Casetify phone cases are not only super protective, but they are so pretty. And back when they've been so conditioned to believe that phone cases that were actually protective were bulky and ugly, those are the days of the past. Casetify has over 2,000 prints to choose from. You can even customize your phone case with your initials, your own pictures, and Casetify works with over 300 artists from around the world to develop these really diverse designs. Like, they have Korean artists that they partner with that my parents were super excited about. So Casetify even makes really good gifts because they're so unique and well designed. And if you guys want other things to make your life easier, you can grab a phone strap. These phone straps for music festivals, for traveling, for living in big cities, it's perfection, okay? Or phone charms. Do you know how convenient this is? Do you know, sometimes I be carrying those endless bags where I'm like Mary Poppins. I just look for this bright rainbow phone chain and I yank it. How many times have you seen me just yank this out of a bag? Insane. It's so convenient and it's cute when I take pictures. So make sure to check out casetify.com/bis, linked in the description, for 15% off your new phone case. That's casetify.com/bis for 15% off your new phone case and accessories. And thank you, Casetify, for sponsoring today's video. And let's get into the food. I actually have a gift for you. I bought these in Korea. And I saw mukbangers use this in Korea, especially for things like spicy rice cakes, because you know how, chopsticks, sometimes it's hard. And you have a hard time reaching some of this food.
Yes, I do.
Pass the scalpel.
Okay, try it.
I'm okay.
Okay, so you just grab it.
Oh my God, you got one too.
It's so easy.
Is yours shorter than mine?
Yeah. You got the longer stick, yeah.
That's
Is it good?
That's good.
Is it
Like,
so good?
why do we need chopsticks?
That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
we can just do this.
Okay, I don't know.
Can I dip this?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of sauces these are, but I'm gonna get the dumplings.
All right, low key, the ramen looks good.
Low key? Are you Dandan? when did you start talking like that? That's crazy.
Oh my God, so good.
The ramen?
Dipping in ramen, so good.
Okay, maybe I'll dip I even took a Zofran for this ramen because it's got pork. Very good. Wow.
You gonna pop the yolks? Okay, moment of truth.
Okay, ready?
Okay, that's looking good. Hold
It
on.
looks very jammy.
That looks good.
Very good. And I even brought seaweed to wrap the egg pop. Keramba.
So Stephanie soaked those egg yolks in like
Yes.
Like a soy sauce mixture?
Because you know what? I don't know if I trust the eggs enough here, but If you live in countries where you have really clean eggs, a lot of people just do this with raw egg yolks. But if you can't do that, if you live in the States, it's a soy sauce mirin mixture with vinegar for multiple days, and it's supposed to cure it.
Okay, let's try it.
yeah.
Is it good?
You can taste the mirin.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's kind of alcoholic. It's kind of salty, so
Yeah,
like,
give me more rice.
yes, I'm gonna try to find more.
Take some rice. Yeah. Wait, what's mirin?
Mirin is cooking alcohol,
alcoholic?
like rice alcohol or something. Honey, you need seaweed. It's very elevated.
So you grab some rice and you stick
Like
a
this.
seaweed on there. You got that. Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, that's good.
like Koreans traditionally will put very over easy eggs with rice, sesame oil, soy sauce, sesame seeds, mix it all together. Yeah, the mirin in here kind of elevates the taste.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a stir, maybe. Does it turn like creamy? Oh,
There's
look
a
at that.
TikToker I watch because I'm on the Korea algorithm who starts all of her videos going 끄르릉 끄르릉 여러분 요즘에 라멘숍에서 something like that.
Whoa,
And I
hold
saw
up.
it.
That looks insane. Wow.
Wow. Okay.
Ice cream ramen.
Okay, shall we try? I'm nervous.
What is it? Do you
I didn't taste the ice cream much. I should have tasted the ramen before the ice cream, huh? But yeah, the ramen is so good. I wonder if it made it less spicy though. Because I remember dipping the dumpling and it was kind of spicy, but this doesn't feel as spicy.
I taste it. Yeah. I had the ramen before. This adds like creaminess, make it a little bit thicker, and a slight sweetness. Yeah, this is better.
So you think we should start adding ice cream to all of our ramen?
But I would say portion is important. You shouldn't do over.
Powering ice cream.
Yeah, like this is perfect. Like one ice cream for this. Look at how freaking creamy it looks now.
This is a chicken roll from a Japanese shop. Dipped. Ooh, okay. Hold on, I'm getting into today's story.
Wow.
I just want to try all of these. They all look so good. At the go. This is squid that's been fried. Look at us with our tweezers. Okay, I'm gonna try a spring roll.
So good.
There was a South Korean YouTuber who, in just one short month, and this has been a pretty requested case, in just one short month, they gained over 400,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. But the whole nation could not stop watching his videos. Even though he only had like 400,000 subscribers, he was getting like millions and millions of views. His videos were considered very eye-opening, informative, thought-provoking even. Viewers were rethinking what they thought they knew about people suffering from neurological disorders. So it was someone that was trying to raise awareness for this neurological disorder that they personally had. And it made his viewers a lot more compassionate. I mean, just to see someone and to understand what their day-to-day life was like, it was very, very positive. The YouTube channel was called, and I quote, "I'm Tourette's." It was a young man in his late 20s. This is really good. It's the scallions and the cucumbers and the cilantro create this very delicious.
Should I dip it?
Yeah, not dipped is yummy too. Oh, this. Did I give you a shrimp? Did I give you a shrimp? How is it? Oh, good, huh?
Good.
It's a young man in his late 20s named Hong Chong-ho. We're just gonna call him Chong-ho. And he was showing Korea what it's like to have Tourette's. He said that he just wanted to show everyone how he lives his daily life and how hard it can be for him to even accomplish these very simple tasks that a lot of people might find very easy and just part of everyday necessities like running errands. But to him, it would take a longer process.
Wait, didn't we just saw a TikTok?
Oh, Louis, Kappa, yes, Louis. Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
It was so wholesome.
Yeah, so he was having a lot of tics on stage, and the audience finished singing his song for him. And I literally was crying while I was watching it. I hearted it. It's such a good TikTok. So yeah, this was kind of like that. It's supposed to be this wholesome feeling where people are trying to understand each other in this scary world where everybody's battling their own demons, right? And it almost came at an appropriate time. So in 2019, there were a lot of conversations about if Tourette syndrome, which, I mean, it's been years since they've been having this conversation, if Tourette's should be recognized as a disability in South Korea. It wasn't even recognized as a disability until 2020, which I'm not saying having Tourette's makes you disabled. I'm not categorizing anyone, but here's the problem. When a government entity does not recognize your disorder as a disability, even if it impacts your life to the point where you cannot hold a job, you can't get welfare, you can't get disability checks. So there were all of these conversations, and I think Korea as a whole, and I think just the world as a whole, even today, I don't know if the normal person knows that much about Tourette's as we should. So that's why he said that he started this channel, meaning it was just trying to get people to understand Tourette's. He said he was sick of people saying things like, oh, why can't you just control your tics? So this guy's YouTube video, they were eye-opening for a lot of older Koreans who were like, wait, I did not realize how involuntary this thing was. Like, I didn't understand how involuntary tics were and how hard it is just to do everyday things. Yeah. Chungho said he wants to inform the public, and he would add subtitles during each tic that he had in each video. So he showed the public things like him going to the hair salon with Tourette's, or as someone who has severe tics. He would even eat meals in front of the camera. Basically, he would do a mukbang on his channel, but he would eat something and he would experience motor tics, which would make it difficult for him to finish eating his food, and it would actually result in food flying around the room because he had these involuntary tics that were uncontrollable. But he never seemed annoyed, he never seemed upset, he didn't seem agitated or embarrassed. I mean, he just seemed so positive. His viewers would comment things like, bro, you're making me cry. You work so hard right now, and I have to learn to have your level of patience. I wrote about you as my role model in my middle school paper. Some people wrote, your positive attitude is so inspiring. Your voice is so charming, and I hope everything goes well for you. Some people wrote, I can't stop smiling. I'm gonna subscribe now because you were just such a happy presence. I love you. He had overwhelming love and support, which is kind of intense. I don't want to say intense, but rare, because I realized when I was on TikTok recently, I saw this girl who has Tourette's, and every comment in most of her videos, there's at least like top 10 comments is like, oh, is this real? In like 2023, okay? So Chungho, he was getting a lot of support and love, but it was all a lie.
He faked it.
He was faking it.
Wow.
And I'm gonna get into how little people fake it. Like the amount of people that fake having a disorder is absolutely so incredibly rare. But before we get into that, not only did he fake having Tourette's, but have you ever caught someone in a lie and they start coming up with the most bizarre backstory on why this lie was not a lie, but they were actually like testing you? Yes. They're like, actually, I didn't cheat on you to cheat on you. It was a social experiment to see if that girl would sleep with me, even though she knew I had a girlfriend who's pregnant back at home, and she clearly failed. And I wanted to see how you handle hardship in a relationship, because psychologically speaking, recovering from a partner cheating on you can be one of the biggest hardships in a relationship, right? So now that we get it out the way, and you're just like, there is no way that you believe what you're saying right now because it is bad. Bonkers. Like, what is coming out of your mouth might as well be a different language. We are not even speaking the same language. You are insane. Well, in Korea, this YouTuber we're talking about was caught faking a neurological disorder. He faked having Tourette's, and he said, joke's on you. I was testing a character. It's gonna get insane. Yeah. It's gonna get insane. He said he's a script writer and he was testing out one of his characters. And then he ends up on a freaking rap show. And he's trying to be a rapper now. So what is going on? Let's dive into the world of Hong Chungho, because this guy is something very bad, but he's something. And it's as insane as you think it is. Let's start with his YouTube channel. Quote, I'm Tourette's. And I just want to start this video by saying it is so incredibly rare for people to fake disorders. On the rare chance that someone does fake having a disorder, it happens to get talked about a lot because I think it's just so bizarre. It's so bizarre that someone would do that people are like, what? I don't even understand it. But maybe that caused people to feel like it happens a lot. It doesn't. So today we are talking about someone who faked having Tourette syndrome, which is a neurological condition that affects the way a person's body moves and behaves. I don't have Tourette's, nor do I know anyone in my close proximity that has Tourette's, so I can't say that I know too much personally, but from what I could find online, it seems like there's an imbalance in the level of neurotransmitters in that person's brain. So basically, their neurotransmitters are extra active, like more active than yours or mine, and so they produce extra signals, electrical signals, which leads them to having involuntary movements or maybe vocal sounds.
Yes. Okay.
And so a tic is either like a muscle contraction or a vocalization, and it's usually sudden, unwanted, and uncontrollable. Those are typically the requirements of a tic. So it could be as small as a vocal sound like a grunt or throat clearing could even be one. It could be sniffing, repetition of words. It could be specific words, specific noises. There are some form of Tourette's where one tic could be repeating what someone has already said to you. And I was on Reddit, and a lot of people that suffer from these tics said it's really stressful because they don't want people to think they're mocking them. But they can't control it. And there's another form of one's tics where they can involuntarily blurt out heavy, vulgar, obscene swear words, which again, I was reading on Reddit, and there's a word for it. It's called cropalalia. And they said that it's frustrating because people think that it's like an intrusive thought. People think, but it's not. And people think that it's like you're thinking something inappropriate, so you said it out loud involuntarily, but it's not. So people with these tics are not more inappropriate or having more vulgar thoughts than people with non-vulgar tics. It's just the reality of their Tourette's, right? But yeah, they said it's really rough because you get social anxiety. It's really hard because if there's kids around, you feel like you shouldn't be in that public space. It's a lot, and it's completely involuntary. I think the one thing that really, really is upsetting for people with Tourette's, from what I could gather, is when people don't take it seriously and people just tell them to suppress it or control it. So think of it, if you have a hiccup or a sneeze times 1,000. Imagine trying to stop a hiccup that is 1,000 times stronger than a normal hiccup. Just the sheer amount of energy that it would take to try and stop it, you won't even be successful, but to try and stop it, that's kind of how it is. And then there's probably gonna be another one coming very soon. So I hope I'm describing it in an accurate way, but I can't stress enough, people with Tourette's do not have voluntary tics, and the amount of people who fake having Tourette's is so rare. Okay, so rare. But we're gonna get more into it in a little bit. December 2019, I'm Tourette's started his YouTube channel. That's his YouTube channel name. And it becomes almost an overnight sensation in Korea. He would even showcase himself doing various activities that were recommended by his therapist. He's like, okay, so I have Tourette's, and I'm gonna do this activity. My therapist told me to get 2 plates, put a bunch of small cherry tomatoes in one plate, and then move them one by one to the other plate.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 아이! 11. 어디까지 셌더라? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
And then the next video, he'd be like, okay, so my therapist told me to try traditional calligraphy, like, those big brush pens, and you dip them in ink, and he would do it on camera, and
책을 제가 오랜만에 쓰니까 한번 연습해볼게요. 아!
the cherry tomato one resulted in him having tics, and I'm gonna say tics with quotes now because not that these types of tics don't exist, but he was faking them, okay? So they're not real. He would end up throwing cherry tomatoes at the walls and his ceiling because of the involuntary muscle movements. And as for the traditional calligraphy, he would pretend to shake his whole body. Again, these tics do exist, but he was faking it. And it would result in him covering his entire face with black ink from the traditional calligraphy pen. And his comments in these videos were super, super, super supportive. So he starts uploading more videos, and he would title his videos in a way that the algorithm gods of YouTube would be like, that's a good one. Like, what if a Tourette patient goes to a hair salon for a haircut? I mean, immediately people who are not familiar are like, oh, I feel like I'd like to know more, right?
Yeah.
Or what if a Tourette patient tries drawing art painting, you know? What if Korean Tourette patient goes to an arcade game zone? So people were really, really into it. And a few things to note. The YouTuber displayed intense motor tics. So there's two main categories of tics from what I could gather, motor tics and vocal tics. Motor tics involve movements of the body, while vocal tics involve sound or noises made by the individual. Motor tics can be on the simpler scale. That's how it was categorized online. And it can include things like eye blinking, facial grimacing, raising of the eyebrows, you know, like, I guess slightly smaller. I mean, they're exhausting, but slightly smaller movements. Then they start getting more complex, like arm jerks, shoulder jerks, jumping, hand jerks. Now, vocal tics also have a scale. Throat clearing seems to be like kind of on the milder side, like making a grunting noise or sniffling. And again, you can have more severe vocal tics, like saying certain phrases or yelling or screaming something, right? So again, severity changes, but very important to note, everybody's tics and frequencies varies, and some people might not have any tics at all, or you go through periods where you're tick-free, and then the tics return for some reason. But he displayed intense motor tics, quote, which would result in food being flung across the room when he was doing mukbangs. He would also slightly injure himself, and people were getting worried for him because he would be eating things like really hot ramen, and he would fling chopsticks towards his face, leaving people to worry if he would injure himself with the hot food. Other times, he would be cooking and holding a sharp knife when the, quote, tics would happen, but in the end, I think everyone was just impressed that he managed to stay so positive, and he was smiling, and he was drawing awareness to something like this. Everyone considered him an inspiration, okay? Someone to look up to. But some doubts were starting to form. This is like the small voices in the back, okay? Very small voices were questioning whether or not some of his tics were real. It actually starts with a few people expressing doubt of his therapy videos. So he's like, oh, my therapist told me to move cherry tomatoes from one plate to another. And a lot of people who knew people with Tourette's would say, okay. So I talked to my friend who has Tourette's, and they said that your therapist, I don't know if you need a new therapist, but your therapist should not be advising you to do this because that intense level of focus and stress would put so much pressure on your body, and stress and cortisol levels can directly impact the frequency of tics, resulting in you having more tics. People were like, I just don't see a real therapist ever saying something like that. Maybe your therapist is different or weird, but I know people who have Tourette's and they would never say that. Like, these are what the comments are saying. So that was kind of like the original of like, that's weird. It's very, very strange, you know? But then people, his supporters would comment back like, unless you're a psychiatrist, get out of here. Which I can kind of see why people were passionately defending him. I think technically it's nice to know that they're trying to protect someone who they think needs protection. I might have even been part of that group because hindsight is 2020. So every now and then a few comments would pop up here and there, and they would be quickly shut down by all of his supporters. The questions would mainly be about, and this is not me questioning these actions, but commentators, okay? People were questioning the non-randomness of his tics. So one of the ways that you are diagnosed with Tourette's is that you have random tics, and he seemed to have tics before a sentence and after a sentence. So conveniently, after he finished his sentence or a thought, he would have a tic where there's almost a natural pause. Whereas if you see most people with Tourette's, it almost interrupts their sentence or their it's uncontrollable. It's very random, you know? It's not like your body is like, oh, let me wait until they're done with the sentence. So people pointed it out, but then others, his supporters, were commenting back to their comments saying, not everybody has the same tics, so who are you to say? Which again, I totally see why they would comment that. Then there was a more specific allegation that started coming out. This is kind of crazy, okay? Commentators started to draw a connection between the frequency and severity of Jungho's tics and the price of food he was eating. So he started doing a lot of mukbangs where he would just eat a lot of food. And they stated that when he was making videos that featured very cheap food like cherry tomatoes or instant ramen, his motor tics would be very severe. And his tics would result in the food being thrown around, sometimes to the point where he's unable to eat anything. But then sometimes he would make these videos featuring pricier food, such as Hanu beef, which is like think of it as like Wagyu. Very expensive
Like
beef
Korean
in Korea.
barbecue?
Yes. And the intensity of his motor tics decreased a lot. And he would actually end up eating majority of the beef. And sometimes he would be making these expensive cocktails and he would never spill a drop of the expensive liquor and drink it all. And
But hindsight is pretty funny. The dude was like,
yeah, like he thought that was,
yeah, he's
yeah.
like, yeah, dude, I want to eat this today.
Yes. I'm getting agitated by this guy.
And people picked up on that.
And I don't know if I would have picked up on it. I don't know why. Maybe it's the older generations. And like sometimes really, really dumb happens on the internet, okay? But I say most of the time people on the internet are so smart. They catch everything. Like you're not fooling anyone. And so they're like picking up on these things. And so they're picking up on the fact that anytime it's expensive, his motor tics would decrease severely. But again, it's pretty easy to argue that people's tics can vary from time to time. So motor tics can also be influenced by sleep levels, stress levels, like all of these things for anyone with Tourette's. So again, this might mean nothing. But people slowly started to see those comments and go, I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about it, okay? The correlation was so strong that some netizens just could not see past it now. But I would still say that this is the minority of people. Majority of people still supported Jungho and they came to his defense. They would respond to every skeptical comment. They would clap back. I mean, these comments would read, how can you insult someone who has a clear disability right now? And again, I feel like I would have been in that boat. They'd say things like doubting someone with a disorder is very, very rude. Most of their comments were disregarded as just flat out rude internet haters. Until January 5th, 2020.
Wait, you're talking about a month after?
Yeah.
He started?
Yeah. A netizen named Aaron Park posted a few comments on Jungho's channel, doubting his whole story. But it's not just another random netizen who's like, I don't know, he eats a lot of beef and his tics are not as severe when he's eating beef, because this can all be disregarded and brushed off as a hater. But this guy said that he went to middle school with Jungho and he didn't have tics back then. He didn't have Tourette's, he didn't display any tics or anything like that. And when people were able to Google Tourette's, a lot of the symptoms show up in childhood. So for a lot of people, it's like, oh, that is kind of questionable. That is a little bit weird.
Yeah, so I mean, how do you...
Yeah, so then it gets worse though. That's not even, Another netizen commented back to Aaron Park saying, are you saying that he doesn't have Tourette's? Aaron said, I think he doesn't have Tourette's. His name is Hong Jong-woo. He lives in Ulsan. Prior to this YouTube channel, he released a rap album online. If you look up his name on Melon, so Melon is like the Spotify of Korea. If you look up his name on Melon, you can see some of his songs. And although I'm not saying like you can't be an artist and have Tourette's, like Billie Eilish has Tourette's, but it's just, he's just saying it doesn't make sense that he never mentioned his rap career either. Like it's just, I don't know, the guy wasn't giving genuine vibes is what Aaron Park is saying. He's saying it almost seems like he developed Tourette's in the last 10 months. It's just bizarre. But the netizens were still skeptical of Aaron. So they comment back, from what I gathered, Jungho even went to the army before, and he said that his symptoms weren't as severe because he was allowed into the army. And these days, it's gotten worse with stress and all of these other factors. He was even declining financial support from his viewers. So I'm not sure why he would fake having something like this. Are you saying that he's lying? Like maybe he's exaggerating his symptoms? Or are you flat out saying that he does not have Tourette's altogether? Can you please elaborate? Aaron said, I knew him 10 years ago and he didn't have a single symptom of Tourette's that I personally saw. Like no tics 10 years ago. I haven't seen him in person since then, but I guess I just don't trust him. He was releasing rap songs like 10 months ago, and a friend of mine even randomly ran into him in the middle of the street 10 months ago, and he said Jungho didn't have a tic disorder at that time. Like, he was not displaying any tics. I was trying to trust Jungho, but the more that I keep watching his videos, the more that I think that he's faking it. I think he's just trying to make money off the internet. So the netizen is like, but I can't understand why someone would fake Tourette's and not accept financial help from the viewers then. Why wouldn't you like do a GoFundMe? Because we asked him to do a GoFundMe and he kept denying it. So clearly, I don't think it's for money. And thanks to Jongho, people are more aware of Tourette's now. And honestly, there's been more YouTubers with Tourette syndrome that have been showing up on my YouTube because of the algorithm. And I've been following them. And I feel like he's doing a lot for the community. So I don't know. I just think this is a bit extreme to accuse him of faking it. And Aaron Park responds, as you can see from the number of subscribers, he's probably making more than enough money on ads rather than taking financial support directly from his followers. That is already taking advantage of the situation, because if he's faking it to make profit, he would be deceiving people for his money. When you read his comments, people are moved by him. They support him. They think that he's trying to live his best life with this disorder, but I don't think that he has this disorder.
I mean, how is he thinking he's gonna get away
with it?
You know, like, right?
Okay, I think there's maybe two things.
Maybe he didn't think it's gonna get that big.
Yeah, I think that's one of it. Another thing is, you know, I do think we live in a world where no one really calls people out for stuff like that because you just don't expect people would stoop so low. Maybe he was betting on that? Because even if it doesn't get big, like, the internet is kind of forever. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I feel like it's definitely creamier.
Oh, yeah.
So this comment starts spreading pretty fast throughout other forums about Jongho and in his YouTube comments primarily. But still, most people were trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. People commented, if he is faking it, we can get mad, but if he's not, we need to support him. Don't support the other side too early and embarrass yourself. Like, let's ask him to clarify the issue and we can hear both sides out and then just stay neutral for now. But very quickly, Jongho disabled all comments on his YouTube videos, which changed a lot of people's perception on this. Why would he do that unless he had something to hide? Why wouldn't he want to address something like this? And it's pretty easy to clear up an accusation like this. People were also able to find clear proof that Jongho had been a rapper. I mean, they were even able to find his ID for the hip hop community site and it linked to his YouTube site. So it, like the same ID. And the rap songs, I mean, it was weird, but it still doesn't prove that he's faking it. Like I said, there's a lot of talented musicians who have Tourette's. Like, just because someone has Tourette's doesn't make them less capable or musically talented. But the next day, I would say, Jongho dug his own grave. He made a video to talk about his former rap life, and he said that he did over-exaggerate his symptoms for YouTube, but he claimed he really does have Tourette's. He just felt like he needed to raise awareness and get attention, and in order to do that, he needed to over-exaggerate the tics.
Oh my God.
That's what he said. People were not happy about it, but he made it worse. He showed a picture of like a medical prescription, like a pharmacy receipt, more so, for meds. Meds that were sometimes used to help ease the symptoms of Tourette's, as well as other things. It's not like a medicine that is used specifically just for Tourette's. It's used for a plethora of things. It could be used for anxiety and all of these things that sometimes people with mild symptoms of Tourette's use. He paid for a week of the prescription, which people thought was odd. They said that this type of medication, you don't even need a prescription to get. It's like an over-the-counter medicine. It was that week. And if you have Tourette's and needed it for helping to ease symptoms, why would you just get 1 week rather than a month? Like, no one wants to keep going back and forth to the pharmacy. And in South Korea, meds are super cheap. So it's not like, oh, I can only afford 1 week's worth right now. A lot of people were also...
He's like, here's a box of Advil.
Yeah, that's basically what he did. And people were like... So a lot of people with Tourette's were really puzzled by his proof. It just felt like someone who had no idea what he was talking about. No idea how Tourette's works, what kind of meds they use. Like, no idea, trying to pull one over on the general public who he assumes has no idea as well. But he dug his feet in the sand, which caused people to pay closer attention to him. Even former college classmates would come out to say, this is very weird, guys, because Jongho was in my college and he was a culinary major. Yes, he was fine. He never displayed any tics at all, which I think that we would have known about because especially the severity of the motor tics that he was displaying in his YouTube videos, it probably would have been a cause for concern in culinary school. Because you're working with a lot of sharp knives, hot objects. Not to say that he can't do it, but I'm sure they would have
Yeah.
known. It's not like a very discreet, you know? So a lot of articles start coming out, and they stated that he faked it and had earned over $10,000 from faking the disorder. The Tourette community was fucking enraged, rightfully so. They wanted to take action, but lawyers informed them that there was nothing they could do about it. Because it's not like he's defrauding people by doing a GoFundMe. It's not like he's getting welfare from the government. Technically, lying on the internet isn't really a law that you could. It's very gray territory. You have to prove that this person's lies on the internet have financially hurt you in some way. Or like have directly impacted your life in some way in order to try and do something. And even then, the internet is such a vast, scary place that it's daunting. So technically, it would be hard to punish Chungho by law, but public outrage was growing and growing. Chungho finally had to come out and say that he was going to be quitting YouTube. He said in a very, very short apology, not really apology, he just wrote, "I'm sorry to disappoint everyone, goodbye." But people are still trying to understand what the hell just happened. Like, it was so abrupt. You cut and then you leave, but like, why? Why would you even fake it in the first place? Are you just trying to make money? A psychiatrist on YouTube said that they had always suspected that Chungho was acting, but because he didn't have a personal evaluation with him, he couldn't even make a public statement. He just said that Chungho's symptoms were very overly exaggerated and it felt insincere. And side note, someone faking having Tourette's is super rare, and psychologists are pretty good at picking them out in evaluations. So some ways that they'll do it is through consistency of symptoms, because when you have Tourette's, it's involuntary. But when you're trying to fake it, which again is very rare, you have to remember to have tics.
Yes.
But sometimes if you're put into overly stimulating environments or you're distracted, you
Yes.
might not remember.
You forgot to have your
Tick, yes.
right, yeah.
So that's how they can spot some fakers, or they have unusual or overly exaggerated symptoms, which is not impossible. There are a lot of people with Tourette's who have extreme cases and extreme tics, but sometimes when it's very inconsistent and it's very extreme, it just feels off. And psychiatrists will even video monitor individuals to document and analyze tic patterns over time. So it's very, very hard to fake Tourette's is what I'm saying, and people do not fake Tourette's. So a lot of psychiatrists said that they felt like he was faking it just from watching his videos, but it would have been very unprofessional for them to come out and call him out without being his personal psychiatrist. But once the truth was revealed, they were pissed. They felt like this guy was mocking their patients who genuinely had their entire lives impacted by the fact that they had Tourette's. The day after Chungho left YouTube, he came back with a rebrand. The next day, he changed his YouTube channel name to Zenitu, and starts posting cosplay pictures of himself in a Japanese anime Demon Slayer outfit. Netizens were so confused.
What?
So
Wait, what did he post? A picture or a video?
pictures, like his banner changed to pictures of him in cosplay. He changed his YouTube profile picture, his YouTube channel name, and netizens were like, okay, I think we know what he's doing. Sometimes, when people make a mistake, instead of apologizing, they'll just go the complete unhinged route. Do I think that he's unhinged? No. Do I think that he's pretending to be unhinged to be forgiven or to become a troll or a meme instead of having accountability? Yeah, kind of. Okay, that's what people felt. Like, this guy was getting so bizarre and so out of left field, it felt like that. And it just gets worse. Because remember how I brought up really bizarre excuses some people make when they get caught in a lie or get caught for something? He posted a long letter on YouTube about his dreams. The day after this, he wrote that the whole month that he pretended to have Tourette's, well, it wasn't him.
Wait, what?
It was a character he was playing. You see, Chungho had a dream of creating his own show, his own series. But in order for that series to be successful, he needed good, believable, interesting characters. So he wanted to test them out on YouTube first.
Bro. Oh, bro.
The first one being the man with Tourette's. He said he already had written 20 episodes of scripts for the past 5 years, and there are 12 main characters, and he was going to do one for each month. And his next one is an anime cosplay lover character.
How do you make up something like this so quickly?
But also, how do you say it and not feel like you're 3 years old? Even my nieces would be like, that's dumb, okay? That's very dumb. Why would you think that? Again, he didn't have a lot of funds, so his YouTube character testing was to save money, but also to get people interested in his sitcom. So again, the first character was just a character, and now the second character is Zenitsu, the anime character. He said there's still 10 characters left that he wants to introduce to this channel. He wrote, I know I can't compete with major broadcasting channels, so I just wanted to make it without disturbing anyone and do it on my own. I thought YouTube would be a great platform where I can check if my characters were good enough, have them tested out in the public to see if they were loved or not. Also, I thought I could make some money off of it, but it wasn't my main goal. Also, YouTube is a place where anyone can post videos. So he's basically saying YouTube is a place where you can do like skits and shit. He also stated, but when reporters started making fun of me, it was disappointing. That's what he said. He's literally upset that he was being dragged for faking having a disorder. He continues, I'd still be successful even if I get blamed by you. If you guys want to quench your anger by being mad at me, fine. I'm not going to tell you guys to stop it. Even before I started YouTube, I had no interest in friendship, love, or any sort of human connection, so I don't really have fear. I'm going to come back with a new video. Thanks for reading this long post.
Wow, this guy just turned full-on villain, huh?
Yeah, people's jaws were dropped. They could not believe this guy. What do you mean? Like, you're bonkers. People told him, you need serious help. Instead, he goes on a YouTube show called The Life of an Attention Seeker. And it's a YouTuber who interviews a ton of people that were viral at one point on YouTube, but fell from grace and were just known to be obsessed with attention. Like the type of people that do really bizarre things for attention, you know? Like those types of people. You're like, you, Stephanie. Rude. Maybe. I don't know yet. Okay, I'm having an identity crisis. But these types of people that even want negative attention, they're fine with it, you know? Chungho went on there and he just doubled down on his bizarre skit story and how he was inspired by South Park to write a skit and he wanted to create a banger of a show. He doesn't know exactly why he went it about this way. He didn't think it'd be a big deal. That's pretty much what he said. Yeah. He made himself out to be like, oh, I'm just like stupid and careless. I'm just a kid. Again, I think that he did it for money, but there could also be a lot of reasons why people fake having disorders or in the more common situation, terminal illness. Some of the major causes could be a need for validation from others. They just want attention. They want sympathy. Maybe they feel a lack of connection. Maybe they need a purpose in life. Like now I feel like I got a purpose, right? It also gives people an odd sense of power because they feel like they can control people's reactions to them. Because, you know, when you're going about your day-to-day life, you don't really know how people are going to respond to you. But let's say you're going about your day-to-day life as someone with terminal cancer, but you don't have all the symptoms of terminal cancer. Like you literally you're not sick. You're fine. Your body is operating well. Now you're like, oh, everyone's going to treat me with love and patience. It's like a weird, also a power play, and you just want attention. A lot of people that knew Chungho in college came out and said, if anyone was going to do something like this, it was Chungho.
Oh my god.
Because it's just weird. Like, and they were like, reporters were asking, why? I don't know, she really liked attention. So Chungho, after this YouTube attention seeker show comes out, people are hating on him even more. And he posts this really long apology where he promises to stay off YouTube forever. Yeah. It's weird. He's not very apologetic, but all of it is going to turn out to be a lie because he goes on a rap show later. But the worst part is, remember how Tourette's was classified as a disability in 2020?
Yes.
By the time that he was exposed, it was really complicated. I don't think it was classified yet. So he literally writes in his apology, I really hope Tourette's can be classified as a disability in Korea so that people with Tourette's can get welfare like others who have disabilities. But people were pissed because with you faking Tourette's, it's not helping the situation at all because the government is filled with old farts who think that people are going to fake Tourette's every day to get welfare.
Wow.
So you doing this, you're literally ruining people's lives who have Tourette's. So he continued to say what he did was unforgivable. Yeah, we know. And honestly, none of it means anything because he doesn't even stay off of YouTube. He took down all of his videos, but he starts posting rap videos instead. And in his lyrics that he allegedly wrote, he would say things like, haters. On YouTube, more than 100,000 hate comments on my videos, but I'm rapping for my 100 fans. I'm afraid of them, but I hold my pen harder. Goddamn. Haters want me to die, will die because of their anger. They cannot avoid their karma like I couldn't. They're gonna have to pay 100 times more. Are these the lyrics of someone who feels remorse? Like, I can't imagine being a really genuine apologetic person and being like, ooh, these are lyrical melodies. They speak to my soul. And remember how Chungho would go out and film videos of him getting haircuts and stuff? Reporters asked the hairstylist, and she said, I mean, even after he took off his camera, like from start to finish, he was displaying tics. I would have never known. She said it was insane. Now, there is a YouTuber named Mr. Lee Kun-hee who has Tourette's and is not faking it. He was really saddened by all this, and he said, I saw Chungho and I was actually inspired because his condition was a lot more severe than mine, and he was always super positive. He gave me courage, and I thought that I could also spread joy into this world. But now it's hard for him to spread that joy into the world because a lot of people on YouTube with Tourette's have said that they now feel like they have to prove that they have it. They have to provide a medical record, a document, a diagnosis, videos. I mean, it's just kind of frustrating because people with Tourette's don't have to prove that they don't have Tourette's. They're saying, why do I have to prove that I have Tourette's when everybody else who doesn't have Tourette's don't have to prove like, hey guys, I don't have Tourette's.
Okay.
It's very like, it's ableism.
Yeah.
So it's like I have to go an extra step to prove myself when this is just me. Like, I'm not even doing this for attention. I'm just trying to be a YouTuber like any other person. It's just part of me. That's it. Mr. Lee said, sometimes I feel like having Tourette's is like having the devil's curse. People won't know unless they experience it, and I just can't believe he would fake something like this. Mr. Lee talked about how when he was young, his tics started at around 5 years old. He had such strong motor tics when he was young that he would twist his neck, and it resulted in him getting a cervical disc problem in his spine. He had to quit university and eventually his job. He didn't have friends because of this disorder, and he said that he started YouTube because of Chungho. And now there will be comments saying really great, disgusting, nasty things like, great acting skills, or thanks for your acting video, I'll enjoy it. Great people out there. He said it was shocking to see people would react this way because one person faked it. And to make matters worse, a lot of middle schoolers in South Korea heard of this, heard of the YouTuber faking Tourette's, and they thought that he was cringe, which I can see their perspective to a degree. It is cringe to be caught for faking something.
Will they start faking it?
But they would mock Chungho mocking Tourette's, but it doesn't matter because in the end, you're mocking Tourette's. It doesn't matter. The problem is you're still mocking people who do have Tourette's.
Yeah.
And
so at the end of the day, like, he hurts even like the younger.
Yeah, and their perception of Tourette's and how tics are. Like, it was to the point where schools had to put up signs that if someone was caught mocking Tourette's, they would get in big trouble. A lot of people with Tourette's in Korea, which there's not that many. I think there was only like 10,000 people in South Korea with Tourette's.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but I guess it's not many in the sense like Tourette's maybe doesn't have the exposure it does have in the US. So in Korea, think of it as even harder for these people. Like, not as many people are outspoken about Tourette's. There's not as many celebrities openly who have Tourette's that talk about it and inform the younger group. So they said that it was such a dark time after Chungho was caught with Tourette's, like faking Tourette's. They couldn't even go outside. People thought that they were either mocking people with Tourette's or they would mock these people. Like, it just almost became like this weird, disgusting meme. And they're like, what is going on? This is literally my life. Like, think of all the damage that this guy has caused. Chungho tried to make up for it by donating $10,000 because he was accused of making $10,000 in that month. He tried to donate it to the Korea Disability Foundation, and they rejected him. They said,
No way.
We don't want your money. We would rather you volunteer instead so you can learn firsthand why what you did was wrong. Yeah.
Wow.
But he refused to volunteer, I guess, because he ended up donating that money to like a pediatric center instead. But like, it's just crazy that he refuses to volunteer and try to learn from his mistakes. Like, it's not really about the money. I mean, it is, but it's not really. And it just keeps getting worse. So after everything blew over, Chungho thought everyone forgot about him, so he went on a YouTube show called Super B's Rap Academy. It's run by a Korean rapper named Super B, who's collecting new members for his new hip-hop label. And the judges knew him. They kept him around because...
He's famous?
I don't know why, maybe. But one judge even said to him, I just had Korean beef, Hano beef, right before I saw this. So my stomach was feeling a bit greasy, but your wrap was cool, so it washed it down. So the beef reference is again to him with the faking Tourette's and eating the Hano beef. So the judges know what you did, but they still had you on. That's pretty bad.
Huh.
It was really bizarre. They also asked outright about his YouTube, like, are you still posting on YouTube? And he's like, no, like, I did something I shouldn't have done. I've been a terrible person in the past. Like, I feel sorry about it. But again, not good enough.
So is he still doing rap, like still trying to rap?
It seems like it. His YouTube channel is still up, but I think he hasn't posted in like a year. But I wouldn't be surprised if he was on other platforms doing other things or started a new channel. Honestly, all I can say is literally what the fuck. This is how I feel also with other things. Like when someone commits a crime, it's really hard to quantify. Like I guess in court you can quantify like, oh, this person was directly impacted. But then those people's family and friends were impacted, and then those people's family and friends were impacted, and you just never really know how big the damage is. And that's how I feel about this case.
Yeah.
It's like you just don't really know how big this damage is, because on one hand you could be like, oh my god, that's a weird part of the internet. But then on the other hand, it's like, wait,
yeah,
how many lives do you think he's ruined by doing that? But at least South Korea has recognized Tourette's as a disability, so we are making steps in the right direction. But still, why do you think people fake having disorders? Do you think he just did it for the money? Do you think that there was more to it, like a need for attention? I don't know. Please stay safe out there, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.